Mopsy Gaming here. City Commission meeting focused on our homeless community. Since I'm a taxpaying constituent, I got my coffee.
I always buy them because that way I have a seat.
I've never seen an email, but it was the way it said it was
You made it in time to get a back row seat. You got 4 interviews? 4 interviews. That's awesome.
I'm walking by. I want it pulled up. How are you?
I thought she was going to be here. She told me she would be here.
They don't have names on them. Not on my side, anyways. You're good. I can lift my arm or whatever. I'm usually pretty good at zooming in between heads. Yeah. I'll stand or whatever. I'm good. You can sit there, man. You're good. Damn, it's full in here.
They're not gonna sit. They're not gonna kick it. Am I in your way?
Nah, if you are, I'll move. It's no big deal. I'm mostly here for the audio.
You film that for YouTube?
Yeah.
When are we gonna get this? Where's my boat? Where's my boat? Where's everybody? Huh? Yeah, there's kind of a sign. Not really. That's where you can sign up right there to speak.
I'm not giving you any.
Yeah, you're good.
Make sure you sign up.
Rich, did you sign up? I did.
Yeah, there's a. It is separate.
Separate sign up for the what? The workshop?
For the workshop. We have the workshop and then we have the regular meeting.
Workshop. Probably gonna be a war zone. No one made your pay.
We missed you at our meeting today.
Huh?
We have one. I said we missed you at our meeting today.
I didn't even see anything about it.
So we'll probably have another one Wednesday.
Wednesday? For sure. I'll be watching the page.
You need to sign up now because once the meeting starts, if you haven't signed up.
For the work, which one? Which sheet is this?
Oh.
Yeah, that's it.
Chief, do you, on Josh's data structure list? No.
Little birdies.
I'm gonna move back while I can. I don't know.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, well, yeah, get with me and
Oh, that's so much better.
Tim, I'm gonna go ahead and. I'm taking there at 7 o'clock. I'm getting the report online, but.
I'm already there,
So I'm okay with it. I think it's the only two items that are hit.
Yeah. We're trying. One minute there and 2 minutes over here.
No, I'm good. Yeah, I'm like, I got it set up over here. I should have been doing this though.
City of Alamogordo.
I've never seen this.
It's just weird.
Oh, you know. The TVs were refreshing. They have lots of screens. I think we did that too. Yeah, it showed like HDMI.
Wait, 5. Hold on. Don't.
You got 30 seconds.
The other day.
I'll call this meeting to order for Tuesday, January 28th, 2025. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Susan Payne,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sharon McDonald,
Here.
Commissioner Stephen Burnett,
Here.
Commissioner Warren Robinson,
Here.
Commissioner Josh Reardon,
Here.
Commissioner Mark Tapley.
Here.
Madam Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Rachel. We are going to start with our invocation by Pastor Justin Crispin of the Worship Center, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Robinson.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, before we proceed any further, what a joy it is to be able to start off City Commissioners meeting with prayer. So, Lord, we ask for your guidance. Lord, we also ask that we'll have an attitude of gratitude today. so easy sometimes in these meetings to be so down on our city and to think of all the different things we can complain about. But Lord, may we first think of all the blessings that you've given us. And may you guide us. You've done so much for us, God. And we thank you for the leadership. We thank you for the men and women that just pour into the city and this county. And so we just pray blessings over their lives. So as we approach city business, I just pray we do so with this idea that, Lord, we already come from a place of blessing. So we give you all the glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Join me in the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor, I appreciate that. Okay, we're gonna move on to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? A motion by Mayor Pro Tem McDonald, do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Robinson. Put up the vote, please.
Did you want to put your changes in the approval of the agenda? We're gonna move those items around.
Oh. Yeah, I guess I should do that?
Yes.
Sorry, thank you. So we're gonna approve the agenda with one small change. We're gonna flip, the city manager's report over to, first thing, under presentations. It will be presentations of the city manager's report. And then under, new business, after item 4, we're gonna do the actual presentation. Does that make sense? Okay, perfect. All right, thank you for that. And with that, can we put up the vote, please? Okay, motion passes 6-0. We will move on to the city manager's report.
Good morning, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commission, citizens. I just, real quick, because I know everybody's anxious to get to the workshop, but I did feel it was important to talk about the bridge again. I gave it to you in a weekly recap, but I just kind of wanted to put it on the record so that everybody has the same information. So on Saturday the 18th, our senior PM was notified by the contractor that after doing some milling, the contractor found a 6-inch gap. I met them out there that week, and that Saturday, all last week, we were kind of triaging the situation, trying to figure out what was happening. How did we not know, if anybody knew? So Saturday the 25th, we came across a report from Terracon that said in 2019 that the bridge needed replaced because it was deemed unsafe. When we applied for the grant in 2023, the grant focused on maintenance of the bridge and not replacement of the bridge. So that's why when we started the current scope of work, it wasn't found, because we were just maintaining the top of the bridge and the wing walls. I don't know why we went down that route. I can only infer that it was because there is another project on our roads that we want to get to, where we're doing a concrete channel that goes from First Street to Indian Wells, which would have addressed the bridges along that channel. And I think it got, and again, without calling to anybody prior here, we believe that's where it got caught up in, and so that's why the maintenance of it. So yes, the city did know at some point. I can't speak to the past, but I can say that now that we know, we own it, we're taking ownership of it, we're moving forward. What we're gonna do at this point is we're just rectifying the situation and making sure that all our other bridges are safe. On Monday, the 3rd, we're working with Smith Engineering, and the current contractor to discuss the timeline, because we know it's inconvenient for our citizens for that intersection to be closed for so long. So we're gonna try to push that timeline up, but of course we want it done correctly. We're having that meeting next Monday. Also, additionally, utilities is going to oversee this bridge, the bigger bridge project. And there, Justin has already created a map of all our bridges. We're still taking inventory of them. Right now, we have about 40 of them in the city that we're looking at. We're going to do an assessment on them. New Mexico DOT is gonna come down and do assessment of the bridges that they're responsible for. They also have been extremely helpful, saying that they will help us look for funding if our bridges are in some terrible conditions. So, the utilities department is going to oversee that project to make sure it doesn't get, slipped through the cracks again, because we're not naive to think that we only have one bad bridge in the city of Alamogordo, so we're gonna take an inventory on the conditions of those. Sort of on those same lines, because of the detour that's happening from Oregon down to 9th Street, what we have done because of the traffic, I'm not sure if everybody saw it, we put no parking in front of the library. We're asking people to park at City Hall because it's getting really congested in that area. We also put our LBT trailer out there because there's a lot more traffic happening and chances for accidents happening in that area. We're trying to kind of mitigate some of that. And then one last thing is a shout out to the city of Alamogordo, because I know that, you know, we don't always do things perfectly, but we do get them right sometimes. And I want to say that California has reached out through the state of New Mexico, has reached out to the city of Alamogordo to see how we have managed and mitigated our fires on Bonito Lakes, asked how we did our testing and sampling and all that, because we did an excellent job of what we were doing. So I think that's just a testament to our current administration that says, you know, we acknowledge problems, we're not sticking our head in the sand, and we're trying to rectify as many of these things and make it public as we can. So that's all I got.
Wow, that's impressive. I'll take that as a compliment. I mean, not me, but the city. Anyway, okay, perfect, thank you. So, we are gonna move on to, okay. So next would be public comment. The only public comment that I see is related to the work session. So I'm gonna wait until then. I will tell you that we have 17 people signed up for the work session. So I am gonna limit it to 3 minutes each, because there is, during the work session, opportunity for dialogue back and forth. 17 minutes already puts us at close to an hour, and if we have dialogue back and forth, I'll just be honest with you, I don't want to be here till midnight. So, and I'm sure nobody else does either. So 3 minutes each. When we get to the work session, I promise that each one of you will have the opportunity to speak. And with that, I'm gonna move on to remarks and inquiries by the City Commission. I have something that I would like to sort of read some parts of. For those of you who didn't know her, for those of you who, I know Commissioner Reardon for sure knew her, Pam Lee passed away. Yeah, and I know, it almost makes me cry. She was sort of iconic, for those of you who knew her. And so Pam Lee was a resident of Alamogordo. She was an attorney. She was a JAG officer. And I was reading her obituary today, and she had 2 daughters. I didn't know that. And she has grandchildren. I didn't know that. You know, they live somewhere else, and so the Pam we knew was very active in the community, but I didn't know about her personal life. So she had 2 daughters and granddaughters, and I'm just gonna read a little bit of this. She had a BA in political science from Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa. She did get her Juris Doctor degree from Drake also in 1973. Specializing in advocacy. And then there's some really cool things in here. So she joined the Air Force, and the Air Force sent her to George Washington University in Washington, D.C., where she got her Master of Laws degree in 1979, specializing in government contracts. Her assignments as a judge advocate in the Air Force were at McCord Air Force Base in Tacoma, Washington. And I don't know how you say it, so it's a naval air station in Iceland, Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, and the Pentagon. In 1985, Pam argued the case United States, this is really cool, United States versus Albertini before the U.S. Supreme Court, and she won. The decision allowed military bases to bar criminals from base open house events. In 1985, Pam left active duty and went into the Air Force Reserves as a judge advocate, eventually retiring in 1998 as a colonel. And then it goes on to talk about some other cases that she argued. And then she moved here to Alamogordo. And once she got here, she got deeply involved in local community. She was the president of the local chapter of the Military Officers Association of America, the chairman of the Alamogordo Planning and Zoning Committee. Some of us remember that. She was very active there. She was a board member on the International Space Hall of Fame and did a lot of work for St. John's Episcopal Church. She was the person who worked to bring Main Street to Alamogordo. That's true, I remember that. And she was also the person who started the drive to have the mayor elected in a general election instead of being selected by the city commissioners. I don't know whether to thank her or be mad at her for that one, but anyway. Outside of work, Pam had several interests. I'm not gonna go through all of this, but she did win the Alamogordo Women's Golf Championship in 2017 with a 2-round score of 162. I don't play golf, but I'm gonna assume that's good. Is that good? 2-round score of 162. Good? I don't know. Anyway, she was a runner, and she, up until 5 years ago, she was running. She was a 49ers fan. Okay. And from the time she was a child she lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, so that explains why she was a 49ers fan. And her husband, Matthew, his name is Matthew Grunberg, I think his name is, I don't remember, I think that's right. It's very close. They have been married since, they've been together since 2001. They married in 2016 after they moved here, and she leaves him behind as well as her children. And she was also, in her later years, she wrote a book. It's called The Darkness of Dawn. It looks like it's a pretty good book. She wrote it in 2019, it looks like. Looks like I saw it on LinkedIn. It looks like a pretty good book. I think I'm gonna order it and I'll read it in my spare time. Yeah, anyway. Anyway, she passed away on January 20th. She really was very, I would say iconic is a good way to describe her. She was a very large presence and incredibly smart, incredibly intelligent. So she will be missed, and I just wanted to remember her tonight. I just found out about her passing. So that is that. And with that, does anybody have anything else? No? Okay. All right, then we're going to move on to the consent agenda. It looks like there's really only one item on the consent agenda. That is so weird. Okay. Okay. I have a motion to approve item 2 by Commissioner Reardon. Do I have a second? Second. A second from Commissioner Burnett. Can we put up the vote, please? And motion passes 6-0. Obviously, we have nothing removed from the consent agenda, and we are going to move on to a public hearing. Item 3, consider and act upon the question of whether or not the Alcohol Beverage Control Division should grant transfer of dispenser-type liquor licenses to New Mexico Company Operations LLC for locations at 723 North White Sands and 1445 Highway 70. And Rachel, do you have some information on that?
Yes, Madam Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. So the Alcohol Beverage Control Division did send these 2 applications for approval or disapproval of those transfer of ownership. So the transfers would be from Brewer Oil Company to the New Mexico Company Operations. And as you stated, Mayor, those are the locations, and they're also known as the 70 West That's the gas station, and the other gas station is known as the Midtown Shell. And so both locations are are outside of the 300 feet of a church or a school. Is there any questions I can answer for you?
Anybody have any questions? We don't have anybody signed up to speak, so I guess with that, does someone want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve item 3.
Okay, I have a motion to approve item 3. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second, I'm sorry, I have a motion from Commissioner Burnett to approve item 3, the second from Commissioner Kathleen. And can we put up the vote, please? And motion passes 6-0. Okay, we're gonna move on to item 4, consider and act upon ordinance 1711. It's for first publication of a map amendment to rezone the property at 523 Maryland. Stella Brielle, our city planner, has some information on that.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners. Yes, this evening I bring in front of you case Z 2025-0001A. Can I get the slideshow up, please? This is a map amendment request, and the property owners request it, which the property owners of 523 Maryland Avenue is the city of Alamogordo. So staff is requesting for a map amendment to change the zoning of the property known as 523. Okay, maybe it doesn't want to work. No. Okay, I'll just go on. I can't get it to work. So we, the city of Alamogordo staff, is requesting a map amendment to change the zoning of the property known as 523 Maryland Avenue from R4 multiple family dwelling district to C3 business district. Thank you. Okay, this is just the zoning map showing the area. The green is the R4, which is the property in question. This is a site map. It's a little hard to see my red arrow there, but everyone's familiar with where Dudley School is at. That's the property we're talking about. This is the protest map area. I am required to submit letters to property owners within 200 feet of the property in question. And those letters are sent out certified return receipt. So my findings of fact are the property again is located at 523 Maryland Avenue. The request once again is to change the zoning from R4 multiple family dwelling district to C3 business district. And the reason staff is recommending the change is because once all the construction is done and we are getting ready to open up Dudley School, it's basically going to be used as a mini civic center. We will be renting out space for small venues there for meetings, you know, birthday parties and such. So with that being said, it doesn't fit in that R4 multi-family dwelling district. It has to be more in a business district area. So it's matching the same zoning district as the Civic Center. So the legal notice was published in the Alamogordo Daily News. I did send out 26 letters by certified return receipt mailed to all property owners of record within 200 feet from the property, excluding the public right-of-way of the property for which the rezoning is on. As of today, I have not received any letters returned undeliverable. I've had no letters or phone calls of opposition, and 2 property owners did come in requesting a little more information. So at this time, I am open for questions, but staff is recommending approval since this request will not be materially detrimental to surrounding property owners or the public.
Yes, Commissioner Ridge.
Will, if we, once we do this, will it have access to our liquor license down there as well, like the civic center?
That would be a question for our attorney.
No, we would have to apply for a separate liquor license at that location.
Any other questions? Okay. Do I have, let me get back to it. Okay, yeah. Do I have a motion to approve item 4?
I'd like to motion that we approve item number 4.
Okay. I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem to approve item 4. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Commissioner Robinson. Can we put up the vote, please? And motion passes 6-0. We're gonna move on to 4.0, 4.2, whatever. Anyway, we are now going to move on to the presentation that we originally had scheduled at the beginning, and our senior project manager, Justin Boyle, has some information for us.
First of all, I've used the PowerPoint. All right, good evening. I brought before you a slideshow of the bigger projects being worked on. There are smaller projects that I'm working on as well, but those ones are under 60,000. Each slide will have a specific phase on where the project lies. During each slide, I will give information on each project. And then I will ask for comments or questions before moving on to each slide. So that way we're not waiting until the very end to switch back and forth on slides. In just under a year with the city, I have successfully completed 9 projects, which are outlined in the PowerPoint. During this time, the engineering division has been steadily rebuilding from the ground up. With the invaluable support of my director, Dave, not only the finance director, Alvin Huff, chief procurement officer, Barbara Pyatt, and acting city manager, Stephanie Hernandez, we have identified several gaps and areas of improvement in existing policies and procedures. We have focused on refining both the project submission process and construction phase to uphold the highest standards moving forward. The presentation marks the beginning of a new initiative to better educate both the city and the citizens of Alamogordo, as our goal is to enhance overall transparency, ensuring clear communication and a better understanding of each project scope and progress. I guess it's a lot smaller on here than on my computer. So.
We have it here, so.
Okay, yeah, all right. Wasn't sure. So the first phase is that I have on this PowerPoint is pre-design phase. Pre-design phase is where I'm at right before I send it out to design, making sure that I have all my scope of work prepared for any engineer or architect. So the first one on the list is the landfilling fencing, and this is under utility department. Even though the landfill is currently meeting requirements for all the standards, wind is unpredictable and sometimes waste does fly past the property. So with this one, it'll just be 100-foot netting fencing around the perimeter to try to keep any litter or any garbage escaping the property. The next one on the list is the convenience center. This design seeks to update a section of the existing tipping floor and enhance efficiency of brush and metal disposal by installing a new tipping floor to better manage the distribution of vegetation and shipping materials. The next project is traffic head replacement, Public Works Department. The majority of traffic heads are outdated. These design aims to replace all existing traffic heads and establish a standard for the city to use in the future as the new traffic light intersections are introduced.
So that's what those are, they're traffic lights?
So it would be the traffic heads, yes, the traffic lights. And then the next one is Bonito Lake ADA Walkway. This is Parks and Recreation Department. It's funny that you mentioned about Cali, because in my notes I even put after utility director says Bonito Lake. And the parks maintain the area and slowly but productively the next property area. For future camping, and Parks Recreation Department will create ADA walkways to access the lake. There's a little bit more to that, but at the moment that's all I have until we get further into the design. The
I'm
next
just glad we
one,
still have a lake to put an ADA.
exactly. The next one on the list is an auditorium. So, as you know, this auditorium was discussed way before I got here, so I do know that there was years of discussion with the new pool and auditorium. It will finally enter the final stages of design. The final stage of design will take 9 months to a year to ensure we give the public everything agreed upon. Construction will hopefully start sometime next year in March, depending on, we look at the designs and make sure everything is where we need to have it at. So before I move on to the next slide, is there any questions about any of these projects?
You're good.
Nope. Still on the pre-design phase. So we ended up getting additional grants for different projects. The first one is the library patio, which is a grant-funded rehab to improve the functionality of the north patio, and it will give access to the newly constructed telehealth area. The next grant that was provided this year was playground for the Dudley School. This is in the final stages of design and, well, not design, sorry. The final stages to get into design, and then once that happens, it shouldn't take too long to get design since it's only a playground. Those usually take about a month or so for design. The next one is the zoo bathroom. On the north side of the zoo currently does not have a bathroom. This will make it more accessible to guests on that side of the zoo. And the bear enclosure is another grant project. This project is to meet compliance standards and USDA requirements, and will also enhance guest education and viewing opportunities. Are there any questions on this one?
On that, the north of the zoo bathroom, don't we
Yes.
already have that designed, because it's already been built? They did a bid when we did the restrooms at the Blue Park.
We asked for the money on the ICIP, but it wasn't designed,
Well, they bid all three of them. How did we bid it if we didn't have plans?
because we had an estimate. Now we were required to do designs when we asked for ICIP funding, but we didn't have it at that time, because that's when we just did, we only had enough funding to do one bathroom, and we did that.
But they bid all three when they did it. They bid the zoo, that one, there was one other location at the same time.
If I had to design, it would be on construction right now, but.
But this was looking.
Other questions?
Any more questions? Okay.
All right, so WSRP, which is Water Sewer Replacement Program. This 003 would be the water and sewer infrastructure on 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th streets from White Sands to Hawaii. This one will go into design as soon as I'm completed with WSRP 002, which I'll get into once I get into design. The sewer replacement. The sewer replacement, the water and sewer replacement program is concentrating on problem sewer areas spanning from 16th Street to Indian Wells. I know I put 10th Street, it was a typo, my apologies. 16th Street to Indian Wells and White Sands to Florida. This area has numerous challenges, including encroachments, privately owned sewer lines lacking easements, manholes located in backyards, and several locations experiencing repeated failures. Given the scope of the project, the design process will take some time as it covers a large portion of Alamogordo. However, the final design will include new and rehab sewer lines for the properties within this area. This project is one of the projects that was on the $29 million contract that you guys approved.
So you said there's manholes in private property owners back there?
Yes, and
So we're gonna move those out, I'm assuming?
hopefully once we get the designer involved and the engineer, we'll have to kind of figure out how we're gonna do that part.
Gonna be interesting.
That happens with water meters as well. I know on Hawaii, there's some water meters in yards. Of course, we're gonna have to move them to the sidewalk, but it's like that in a lot of areas. But we're trying to make sure that everything's in the right way to where we can actually locate them and maintain them. All right, so the next thing, which was also on the list that you guys had approved of for the 29 million, is 4 water storage tanks in Alamogordo. They will start sometime after February for RFP. This is the Callahan 2.2 million gallon ground storage tank, Lower Alamo 2.2 million gallon, Ocotillo
0 million gallon, and the west side, 0.5 million gallon. So all 4 of those will go to RFP sometime after February.
And these were also included in the 29 million.
Correct. Any questions on these ones? No?
Anybody?
So now I'm gonna go into the design phase. So design phase, first one is the fire station 2, which is located on Walker Avenue. This one is a grant fund. After a very long time sitting empty on the back, I ended up putting this out for design right away. I do know that we are pushing to put this out into construction before May or sometime by May. We just went over the plans today, making sure that they have everything in there that they need. So this one's pretty close to being done on the design phase. Valley View Drive. So the road into the La Luz plant has been severely damaged by more than 2 decades washouts, making it nearly impassable at times. It also serves a primary access route for chemical delivery to the water plant, which is critical to our water system. Maintaining access to this road is essential for the city staff to perform daily operations. I don't know if you guys ever been out to the water plant where Dave works at, but that road is really bad, and trying to take a chemical truck out there is not safe. So the next one is the Zook Duck Pond. This is also a grant fund. So right now we're actually getting close to being completed with the design. There's a little touch-ups that they have to do before I get with the stakeholders, which will be the zoo manager, and making sure that it's to her standards for USDA requirements. This requires a few things to upgrade the duck pond scenery and to make sure that it meets code. The next one is WSRP 002, which is the one I mentioned before. This one is actually a few roads. It is Hawaii from 10th Street to 15th Street. It's a dual water replacement. It's from Alaska from 10 to 12. It's from the Hubbard Bridge, north of that to the next intersection, all the way across 18, going around to, I'm not sure what that street down, but whatever, it's a street right next to Hubbard that connects into a,
Beer Steros, I think it's.
yeah. Even if I wrote it, I couldn't say that word right, so. Yeah, so it'll be all that.
Yeah.
Also 19th Street, so where Oregon's at right now, it'll tie in from the new line that's on Oregon, going west, and it'll go all the way past Cuba, and then it'll continue on until it gets to another cul-de-sac that is that direction. I should wrote some of these roads down, but too excited. Just kidding. Any questions on these ones? No? All right. So basin sediment removal, this one's in design. It was 65% when I got here. Apparently there was some problems with the design and the CAD drawings with the engineer. So I ended up turning it around to a different engineer to make sure that we get it completed. This is a Marble Basin and Washington Basin. Washington Basin is over here by Mountain View Middle School, and Marble is over there by Foothills Tank. WRF sludge disposal area expansion. So in accordance with the current sludge discharge permit 806 requirements, the city must establish individually marked disposal cells. Divided into 10-acre cells, each is to be monitored and calculate nitrate loading. The city has disposing of sludge in this area for over 3 decades, and certain zones have become known as hotspots due to elevated nitrate levels. In response to a recent letter from NMED, we have developed a corrective action plan, and we will move forward in clearing and grubbing, addressing drainage concerns, constructing berms to manage flow in and out of cells, installing signage to identify each cell number, and replace the perimeter fencing to prevent cattle from neighboring ranch from entering the area. Okay, so the next one is Highway 5470 main grid. This is another project that was on that list. So this project aims to address the long-standing issues associated with aging pipelines and frequent water line failures along Highway 70 between 54 and Airport Road. It will enhance water quality, pressure, and volume, and by replacing over 13,000 feet of 12-inch pipe, installing 4 pressure control stations incorporating an additional feed from the Prather transmission pipeline, and creating pressure zone 5. These upgrades will significantly improve the system's capacity to meet fire flow requirements and strengthen the overall water infrastructure. The next one is another one that's also on the list is well transmission line. The well transmission project is an ongoing initiative that began over 2 decades ago. With 3 phases already completed and 3 remaining, the next phase starting approximately 1 mile south of Snake Tank Road. It will involve the installation of 5 miles of 24-inch raw water pipeline extending towards Alamogordo. The ultimate goal of this project is to establish a transmission pipeline capable of transporting water from the Snake Tank well field to the city, ensuring the city's ability to meet future water demands and address potential water supply challenges. Is there any questions on these?
I just have a question. Do you have asterisks beside the
Yes,
50%?
those are there just to let you guys know that those are part of the 29 million.
Okay.
Yes?
Anybody have any questions so far? Nope, we're good.
All right. So next part is bidding process. So at the moment, I have 3 that are ready to go for bidding. It's just a matter of when I'm gonna put them out for bidding. So most likely I might pull Granada Hills off of this list just at the moment, but as you can see, as part of that 29 million, I just want to make sure that anything that was designed is up to date on any page of the plans. So the first one is zoo fencing. It is grant funded. The zoo south and west walls are outdated and need improvements. These 2 sides are the last exterior walls to be completed for the zoo. Once those are completed, then we'll finally have an entire wall around the whole zoo that's ready. Even though I still might pull this from the bidding at the moment, I'm still gonna discuss it. So Granada Hills WSRP 007 is 15th Street to 18th Street, scenic to La Cresta. This one will be all new water infrastructure and roads to be repaved on that subdivision. The next one is Bonito RTU. As part of the Bonito Lake Reservoir Emergency Response Plan and the requirements of owning and operating a high hazard dam, the city must maintain a working watch and warn system. This project aims to upgrade the existing outdated system to meet current standards, enabling plant operators to remotely monitor flows, pressure, and levels. Additionally, it will enhance security by introducing camera systems and increasing the number of alarms and notifications that can be sent not only to Lincoln County Dispatch, but also directly to our operators. Any questions on those?
Any questions? Nope, we're good.
The fun part, construction process. So as you guys know, you've seen a lot of orange barrels around town, digging up. So I'll just start from the top and work our way down. So the first one on the list is Monte Vista Cemetery renovations. At the moment, they have dug out the footings, they tested for compaction, they passed yesterday. They're actually working on tying rebar at the moment, and they're scheduled to pour concrete for the footings this week. If everything goes smooth this week with the pouring of concrete, they should start building the wall at the cemetery next week. And after that, of course, install anything that gates, metals, whatever we need to put in there, that's after that. The next one is the New York WSRP. So right now, at the moment, we are, General Hydronics Utilities is the contractor on that project. They are actually 2 weeks away from getting away from 10th Street and 9th Street completely and just working only on the 800 block. Sometime next week, we'll start doing testings on the water lines and just move along on that one. And that's the only thing they have left at the moment is 800 block and tying into existing water lines. The next one as you guys know, 10th Street Bridge. As Agency Manager Stephanie already provided with you for that information. I still have contractors working on that project until we get something handled on that. So right now, they're actually relocating the reclaimed water line that I brought to you guys last meeting for a change order to make sure that it's completely out of the bridge's way. So we don't have to worry about encasements under the bridge anymore when it comes to water lines. The next one is grade blocks. This one obviously will start right after General Hydronics Utilities jumps into 800 block and steps away from 10th Street. Once that starts, it was supposed to start next week on Monday, but due to tying into 10th Street, of course, I can't have detours overlapping each other. So I wanted to make sure they're out of the way. So February 10th is going to be the starting date for grade blocks. And I just spoke to the contractor, and that is a confirmed date for that. On the grade blocks, is the PSAs that I've been putting out, just want to make it public again that it will be a median from White Sands going all the way to the alley on the east side of 900 block. There will be no left turn going northbound on New York Street, coming in from White Sands, so it'll be eastbound. Stop signs and the stop light will be removed. There will no longer be stopping unless pedestrians are crossing. We'll be using a hog system for that. Also, from 10th Street to 12th Street, northbound, it will be a one-way. So it'll be one-way northbound from 10th to 12th and one-way southbound from 10th to 8th Street. So I just want to throw that out there again because it's going to be really critical that we make sure everybody knows about this, because I know everybody's used to a certain kind of way of traffic, but changing traffic is always going to take some time to get used to. But based off of the traffic study through the engineering, this is something that we made sure that it was capable of being.
So New York Avenue from 10th to 12th is now going to be a one-way?
Correct.
Okay.
And then there's going to be new striping, new signs that are installed as well. And this is based off of
big giant posters and big giant whatever.
I mean, I could make renderings of the future grade blocks.
I mean, everybody will get used to it eventually.
So that would be grade blocks. Kind of got ahead of myself on the slides, my apologies. So before I jump ahead, anybody have questions on this slide?
10th Street over here, what kind of a timeline are we looking at? I know it's an emergency deal, but
so
we're gonna be able to streamline the process, the design, the bid.
Yes, so how it works is Rusty will be meeting with us on Monday with the contractor, as Stephanie stated. So Rusty does, from Smith Engineering does understand the concept of how important this is. Just to let you know that some of these designs that I have right now with them, they might be put on hold for a little bit while his engineering company works just on this bridge. Lucky for us, DOT has their own standards when it comes to bridges and over boxes, so it shouldn't take too long. Can't give you a time frame on that just because I haven't met with the engineer yet. And once he does that, obviously I'll let Stephanie know.
So he's gonna streamline the design on it, and then are we gonna just try to CES it with the existing contractor to get it done quickly, or?
Yeah, so that's another thing is we have to make sure that
We're trying to order on the existing contract.
right, because it is an emergency, it is capable of being. We have to just meet on Monday when it comes to all that, and then we'll be able to announce to you guys with another update on it once we talk to the engineer and the contractor.
Either way, it will come in front of commission, but we have to meet with them on Monday to push the timeline, get an accurate timeline, so we have better information to get to you. But the urgency is there, and I think everybody knows it.
I'd like to see that one, even if stuff's gotta be put on hold.
Agreed.
So
No, agreed.
that's our main arterial through town.
I agree with you on that.
We're gonna do any kind of, it's kind of on that, but we're gonna do any kind of different traffic patterns right here while it's being routed around.
We talked about different traffic studies. I don't know if we've settled on anything. We need to meet with the engineer to see if what we're gonna do about any of
Four-way
that.
stops or something, just to.
Are you talking about for the detours?
Yes,
Yeah.
like here.
I don't think we
9th
could do a four-way
Washington,
stop right
So
here.
9th and Washington, it probably wouldn't be bad to put a four-way stop because anybody coming southbound from that intersection from 10th and Washington Washington. If you put a stop sign there, it's gonna back up traffic all the way to 10th Street. And then now you have even more backup traffic than what is already there.
We're backing all the way up, down this way, people coming around, so, but anyway, like I say, I was just wondering if we're gonna do some traffic change.
I'll make sure that I get, something going with an engineer to see what their thoughts on that, but at the moment, I'll have to wait until I talk to somebody on that. Okay. Any other questions? All right. So, Hubbard Bridge replacement. I don't know if you guys seen anything on Hubbard Bridge, but the project started 3 weeks ago. So far, they have installed a new water line tied into the existing, connected the, they also installed a storm drain pipe and completely demolished the entire bridge, and they are ready for, prepping for the drilling for the new shafts that are gonna be put in on this bridge. Let's see. So the next one is, WSRP. I have something else up there, but it's still a WSRP. This is on Oregon. There was a little bit of setback in the beginning, but now we're moving along on Oregon. They actually passed, 19th Street today, so we're moving along on the first phase of the construction phase. So this is the first basin sediment removal. This one is, sorry, got a little sidetracked for a second. Public works basin. So after October, as you guys know, it rained a lot. The basin, it gets water from the Griggs Basin, which is more east, and it continued to have water flowing into it. So it took a little bit longer. I had to stop the project. I looked at it on Friday, and it looks like it's dry, so it should be ready to go for construction again. I'm meeting with the contractor tomorrow on the job site to make sure that he's gonna drive his dozer into the basin to make sure it doesn't sink. Because I mean, it could look dry on top, but it could still be wet underneath. And the next one is Foothills and Lower Heights water tanks. As you know, Foothills water tank is completed. It's part of my presentation on the projects. The next one is Lower Heights tank. They are almost about 50% done with the welding. Once the welding is completed, then they'll start on the sandblasting and the painting and cleaning out the inside, making sure everything is rehabbed just like Foothills. Foothills.
And just so everybody knows, can you tell us where, I know it's on Thunder Road, but could you tell everybody where Lower Heights is, just so everybody?
Yeah, Lower Heights is on the east side of Thunder Road, is right next to McKinley Channel, and the basin that's right there. I don't really know how else to explain Thunder Road.
No, and that's fine. I just, in case anybody's thinking where's Lower Heights, it's just if you go all the way up Thunder Road.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah, and then going more east is Upper Heights. So there is 2 tanks in that area. So the one lower, away from the mountain is
Right.
lower. Any questions on this slide?
Anybody else have any questions? Nope, we're good.
All right, shovel-ready projects. So these are projects that are completed with design. It's just a matter of when to put it out for bidding. Of course, I can't put all of them out for bidding. I would, but then no one would be able to drive around town. So first project is the La Luz South Reservoir. This reservoir is over there in the water plant. This would be an entire, rehab of the entire, there's 3 reservoirs over there. This will complete the 3rd one. The other 2, a little bit more up to date than this one, so. Next one is road striping, 25 phase 1. This one is a scenic extension from First Street to Indian Wells, First Street scenic to White Sands, Cuba from First Street to Indian Wells, and North Florida from First Street to Tierra Bella. The next one is the balloon park that's on the Bell Road. This one is upgrading the balloon park with a new parking lot, bathrooms, and fenced-in stage for concerts and events. The next one is the sewer and storm drain that's located on the zoo parking lot. So as you guys know, the storm drain that's on white sands right in front of the zoo doesn't really take in a lot of water. So that one is ready, it's ready to go out for bidding. It's just a process of making sure that I have one project done before I put this one out. So this one will be the entire new storm drain from White Sands all the way to the tracks, Union Pacific property line. And then also a new sewer line from the sewer manhole that's in the parking lot of the zoo going into eastbound 10th Street. That line, after looking at that line, it was actually a 4-inch clay. So it's pretty old, and we just want to make sure that everything is updated as much as we can. Any questions on these?
Real quick. On the Glen Park, you said restrooms, are we gonna add additional restrooms?
Yes, there's one more bathroom that was in design for that.
Okay, where's it gonna go out there?
On
other
the
side?
northeast corner, I do believe. Or isn't there one?
There's already one on the north
So
side.
then it's opposite side.
Okay, on the south side.
Right.
Same kind of design, same, just two deals and similar to what's there.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a south side.
Going more west on the balloon park is, on the design, that's where it's fenced off for events like concerts and I don't know what they have for feature on that, but
And then on that sewer storm down there, are we gonna try to address where, right there, just be to the north of Walgreens where it floods? Be to the east of the tracks, and then right there, is that gonna incorporate some of that flooding issue
So-
there?
I can't give you 100% answer on that because, but I think with the storm drain being replaced, because there is some collapse, under the tracks, that part of it did collapse a little bit. I already spoke to the engineer from Union Pacific. I'm working with them to see what they could do on their side of it. So that way water doesn't get held up. And then also, I'm not sure what it looks like all the way under the storm drain, but at least just based off of White Sands, seeing how it dips right there, you can imagine that'll probably collapse a little bit right there. So best way to do anything there is to replace the entire thing. Have Union Pacific work with me on their side of it, and hopefully it takes a lot of that flooding out. I can't guarantee it, but hoping so.
Any more questions?
All right, more shovel-ready projects. Okay, so this next one is phase 2 and phase 3 for WSRP, the water replacement for Oregon Avenue. This will take from 10th Street going south, and in the surrounding neighborhoods on the south side of 10th Street. This will be the same thing as Oregon, new water line, new pavement. And then the next one is Upper and Lower Heights water line replacement. This would be the pipeline that's in between the two water tanks, Upper Heights and Lower Heights tanks. So on Canal Ditch and Hamilton Road and Ditch, these two projects are 100% completed, but they were done about 2022, 2023. I found them in a folder and I put them up here to let you guys know that there is 100% drawings on these, but I am most likely going to take them back to the engineer to make sure that they meet all requirements to date and make sure that we get the right project permit. Because I'm not sure what the requirements were before the new standards, technical standards came out, so I want to make sure that they meet requirements. The zoo irrigation, that's 100% completed. That would be an irrigation all throughout the zoo. I do believe it's, I'm not sure what that park is called on the south side of the zoo, but it's in that grass area right there on the corner of 10th Street and White Sands. So it'll be irrigation in the south side of the zoo, in that area, and the entire zoo.
Okay, and then it looks like the Upper and Lower Heights water line is also part of the 29 million?
Correct. Any other questions on this?
Any more questions? We're good.
All right, so completed projects. So the first one is CDBG sidewalk improvements. This was obviously in construction when I started. I put it on here because I did complete the project, made sure that all the testings were completed with Smith Engineering, and continued on from there. Next one is Oregon Courts resurfacing. This is the new pickleball courts that you guys see on 14th and Oregon, and also the resurfacing of Oregon basketball courts. The zoo wolf enclosure and the zoo wall from the wolf, from the Chambers and Education Building. Those two projects were already in construction when I started. When I stepped in, I just made sure that I completed the projects, making sure that they met requirements and completed those. The other one is landfill water fill station. So in the landfill, to get their water in the water truck, they were going inside of a ditch to fill up. We created a new landfill station, so it's easier for the water truck to fill up a lot faster and try to keep the debris down. This next slide is pictures of the completed projects. So this is CDBG, sidewalk improvements. As you can see, in this picture, I want to point out that we are making sure that all contractors, including city employees, to have their PPE on every time they're on a project. I even go in, even though I'm not working, I still wear my PPE just because it's a safety requirement. As you guys know, the pickleball and Oregon courts resurfacing, that was a fun one. The zoo wolf enclosure. So as you see, there's some before and after pictures. Kind of stepped in at the last minute on this project. Sorry, can't really take too much credit for first. So. And this one's the landfill water fill station. This here is just a concrete slab with a new, I do believe it's a 12-inch water line that comes up from the ground and it helps them fill in the water trucks. The zoo wall, Wolf and Chambers wall. This is in between the education building and the zoo, Wolf wall, sorry. The other completed projects, APD stair lift. This was an outdated stair lift that was in APD station, so we ended up getting a new stair lift for both sides of the building. So that way, if you're on a wheelchair or anything like that, it's capable of taking all the way upstairs, and there is wheelchairs on upstairs and downstairs. Oh, sorry. Next one is Alameda Park shade structure. This is the 8 shade structures that were put in on Alameda Park. After completing that, Parks went in and they installed 100 trees, planted 100 trees, sorry. Planted 100 trees into the park. The next one is striping citywide, FY24. This one, as you saw, there's multiple roads that were striped recently. Next one is foothills and lower heights, but the foothills tank is the one that's been completed. This is the stair lift for the APD station. Alameda Park shade structures. I'm going too fast, let me know. I know everybody's anxious to get this over with. Foothills, as you can see how bad it looks inside compared to what it looks like now. These are definitely tanks that need to be updated. And then my project overview. So total project count, I have 12 in pre-design phase, 8 in design phase, 10 shovel ready, 3 in bid process, 10 in progress of construction, and 9 completed since April of 2024. In total, there's 52 projects. This is not including anything that's below 60,000. So I do have other projects that are in works, so just not the high expensive ones. I put this on here, but I'll just briefly tell you what the bidding process is. So I'm not sure exactly how things work forward, but I know that since the engineering is moving forward and trying to change things, every project that's over 60,000 will be going through a bidding process. This is advertisement for 2 weeks. So advertising is not just for locals, it's for anybody that's part of that vendor or in the country. Okay. So you have 2 weeks for advertisement. After the 2 weeks, then you have the pre-bid, and that pre-bid is mandatory. If you don't show up to the pre-bid, you can't bid. The reason for this is because I want to make sure that any contractor that tries to do a project, they know everything that is said in the pre-bid and making sure they know the standards that we are requiring from them. So after the pre-bid, they have a whole week to ask questions, anything that they see wrong with the plans, you know, because no one's perfect. I mean, I mess up all the time, but we're human, right? So they have time to ask questions. Once the questions date is closed, I'll send an addendum out. They'll answer all the questions. If some of these questions are something I cannot answer because I'm not an engineer yet, I'll have the engineer answer them. So no matter what, they're getting a professional answer, you know. So after that, we'll go out for the bidding. Prime example, which I kind of thought was on there, but I guess it wasn't, but the golf course, for example. That one had over 10 people, 4 of them were local, that came to the pre-bid. Only one person bid, and they were out of state. Surprisingly, they actually bid lower than what the engineer's cost was. That one was also grant funded. Which, as you guys know, when I did the notice of award, we explained what kind of grants there were, so kind of wanted to explain how the bidding process works, so I could let you guys know, let the public know exactly what's being done and how it's being done. Of course, after the bidding, depending on the qualifications, the pricing, making sure that they meet all requirements, then that's when it comes to you guys for notice of award. And then after that, that's when I continue on to my pre-con and making sure that construction starts at an appropriate date. And that's pretty much it for this. Any questions that you guys seen?
I have a question, but it might put you on the spot, and if it does, just say I don't know. But I'm looking at 52 projects in some phase. Right? I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot. What do you, we know that we know part of this is part of the 29 million. So if you had to sort of guess or kind of put a number on this total, any thoughts?
Of how much it would cost for all these projects?
Yeah.
Just a guess?
Yeah, if we had to guess.
Honestly, I would say over 150.
150 million?
Over.
That's what I was thinking. And then we still
That's all
have.
projects though.
What's that?
That's all projects.
No,
yes.
no, I understand that. And then that 30 million or the 29 million, whatever, the 30 million is part of that $160 million that we were talking about.
Correct.
Right.
For the first 2 years, yes.
So that's.
So anything that you saw the asterisk on, that's why I put it on there so
So
that you
it's
guys
really,
can kind of see
if
which
you
ones
were
are.
really to break that down, that's close to $300 million. Right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's overwhelming. Okay, all right. Does anybody else have any questions?
All I gotta say is don't quote me on that.
And also, it's different funding sources, right, and some of them are in.
There are grants too, so.
So we have
I understand.
ICIP, so, you know, it's not like everyone has 150 million in the bank.
No, and I understand that.